Hey, last video. So you've been working on the chord changes. You've been putting it together in time and working on making sure that you're changing the chords in time. The last part is oftentimes the part that trips people up the most, and that is we need to get it to sound like the song. So you probably have the chords, they sound pretty decent. Hopefully you're changing it in time, but you're just like, this does not sound like the song. So now we're going to put the step in that's going to make it sound a lot more like music. So the key is, for this part, your right hand. And what we're going to do is we're going to do the strum, and we're going to use the same strum the whole way through. And the strum that we're going to use is going to be down, down, up, down, up. And a lot of times when I practice strums, instead of practicing it with the chord down, I tell my students to take their left hand fingers, just cover the strings so it's dead. It's going to sound like this. Now most likely when you're doing this, you're a little bit confused and yours is coming out sounding like this or some weird thing like that. Make sure that the fingers are just touching the strings and killing off the sound. So no sound. I'm not pushing at all. I'm just touching. The reason I want you to do that is when you do that, you can hear the speed of the pick across the strings. So one big problem with people's strums is that their speed is uneven, or they kind of get caught in the strings like this. So it'll sound like that. But when I have the strings killed off, I can hear that perfectly clear. Whereas if I do, the sound kind of masks the fact that I'm a little bit out of time with my right hand. But when I do this, I can hear it's, happening exactly in time, or it's a little bit out of time. So think about your right hand as being like a percussion instrument, more like you're playing a drum. You want that rhythm to be down, down, up, down, up. That's the rhythm, and it should sound just like a click as you're going across. It should sound like down, down, up, down, up. All right. Now, if you're not used to doing these strums, which I'm assuming you're not used to it because that's why you're watching this, you're going to, your strum directions are going to get all mixed up. So let's divide the strums in half. So what I want you to do is the first part, you're going to go down, down, up. So down, down, up. And if I'm counting it as 1, 2, and. And what's going to happen is after I do that down, down, up, I want your right hand to miss the strings and come back down. So I want you to go down, down, up, miss, like that. So down, down, up, oops, down, down, up, and then you're going to come back down and not hit the strings. So that when you're done with that part of the strum, your right hand will be on this side of the strings, not here. This is very important. Everybody messes this up. So what everybody does is they get the down, down, up, and they're sitting up here, and then they're going to mess up the next part of the strums. So the key is down, down, up, and get yourself set by bringing your right hand back down here. So that first part, if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, down, down, up, and then miss the strings at the end. And that's the part that you're gonna have to take extra time to practice that. It's down, down, up, miss. All right, so that's the first part of the strum. The next part of the strum is easier. It's just up, down, up. Make sure you start with an up. The thing that everybody does when they do this is they'll go down, up, down. It's gonna matter. So it just sounds a little bit weird if you mess up your downs and your ups. So you definitely want it to be up, down, up. So that second part, which remember you landed here at the end of the first part, is going to be up, down, up. So when you put it together, when you first do it, what I want you to do is go down, down, up, miss and get set, then do your up, down, up. So there's going to be a little bit of a hiccup between the two. Down, down, up, miss, and then up, down, up. As you get more comfortable with it, you squeeze the time in between the two out, and you get down, down, up, miss, up, down, up. So down, down, up, miss, up, down, up. The flow for the right hand is like you're just always doing this movement. So it's always down and up. So it's like my right hand should look like this, and it's just a matter of like when I'm on the strings and when I'm off the strings. So like I can kind of go back and forth like this, and then when I put my strums in, down, down, up, down, up. Those are the strums. The first thing is to get one set and get one set correct and in time. So if you're counting it, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, down, down, up, miss, up, down, up. All right? When we put 2 together in a row, so after you've practiced that 1, when we put 2 together in a row, this is the other big tripping point, and that is that when you start all over again, it gets tricky because it's like you have to reset back at the beginning of it. So to do 2 sets in a row, you're going to go down, down, up, miss, up, down, up, down, down, up, miss, up, down, up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, down, down, up, miss, up, down, up, down, down, up, miss, up, down, up. Now for most people, when they can do 2, adding 3 and 4 gets easier. But at this point, you're probably getting tired of hearing all these clicks, so you put your chords back in. So when we put our chords in, now the tricky thing is you've got your strums going and you want to make the chord changes. So when we do this, we're going to do 2 sets of strums on G, 2 sets of strums on E minor, 1 set on C, 1 set on D7, back to 2 sets on G. So for starters, what I want you to do is just do 2 sets, like just practice the strums on each chord without worrying about making the chord change in time. So you'll do G, so you're going to go 1, 2, ready, and down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. All right? Then you'll make your chord change to the E minor, and when you do this, don't let your right hand kind of drift off to the side. So like after you did that up, down, up, leave that right hand in place, make your chord change, then you do 2 sets on E minor. Down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. Leave your right hand in place, 3rd finger anticipates, places, 1st finger tucks in, aim from the 5th string, down, down, up, down, up. Then for the D7, tuck in that 3rd finger, down, down, up, down, up. Then back to the G, 3rd finger slides up, down, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. So you'll practice the sets of strums on each chord and then worry about the change kind of separately. So 2 sets on the G, 2 sets on E minor, 1 for the C, 1 for the D7, 2 sets on the G. Then when you put it together, as you get more comfortable with it, you're going to just keep your right hand going and try your best to anticipate that chord change. So you'll think like 1, 2, ready, and down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, E minor, down, up, down. I'm getting my 3rd finger ready, down, up, thinking ahead. Alright, so far I've been explaining everything in baby steps, but that last part that we did, that takes people a while. So if you just try to do that, you're like, hey, I'm not getting it. That's because it's difficult. There's a reason that you might be having trouble with it. That putting all of it together, that's the hard part. That's why lots of people can play the chords and they can play the strums kind of, but to get it all sounding together, that's the tricky part. So to do that, the key is each of those things that we talked about earlier need to come into play. So like with your left hand, you really need to anticipate the chord change and practice making sure you know exactly where you're going beforehand. And getting to that C, pretty much everybody's up late getting to the C. Get that 3rd finger set so that you can actually get it into place. And then when you go to the D7, the thing that happens for most people is that 3rd finger doesn't get tucked in quite far enough. So you have to think about that 3rd finger has to travel all the way in. So anticipate the fact that it's traveling the longest distance. When you go to the G, you have to anticipate the movement of the hand. All right, then the last trick is think about leaving on that 4th beat. So you're going to have some strums that are kind of thrown away. That's okay right now. So when I get to beat 4, I start moving and I just keep my right hand going. So don't wait for your left hand. They just have what I call these throwaway notes in between. So in slow motion, when I'm going from the G to the E minor, if I go like down, down, up, down, up, 1. So when I got to that up, down, up, I was already moving. So if I'm going like, I go to the C, the same thing. So when I do E minor to C, I get my... So I've got some fake notes in there. I just let go, I start moving early. And think about moving early on that fourth beat. So if we try it that way, we're going to go like 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Leave. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Leave. 1, 2, 3. Leave. 1, 2, 3. Leave. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. One last bit after you've practiced that is that you're going to put 2 together in a row. When you put 2 together in a row, your last 2 measures were G and your first 2 measures are G. So you're going to be sitting on G for a million years, actually just 4 bars, but it's going to seem like a super long time. So when you get to the end, you'll do 2 Gs at the end, and then you'll do 2 Gs to start the next set. And the reason I like to teach Stand By Me is because it's the same chords the whole entire song. I haven't counted how many times, but I think it's like 30 billion. It's a lot. So you're going to want to practice cycling through several times, but the first 2 are the crucial ones. So when you put 2 sets together, it's going to be like this. 1, 2, ready, and down, down, up, up, lead. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. First set. Second set. Now it starts again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second set. So that was 4 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. down, down, up, down, up. At the very end, I do a down and it sounds like it's over. So do that work. Put those together. That last set, that last video, that's the trickiest one actually of getting everything put together. Be patient, practice regularly, and eventually it'll come together. All right, good luck.